Hi everyone, this is Fimiesdessertsville and I'm the creative director behind Fimiesdessertsville brand. This right here is my YouTube channel. So today I will be teaching you how to go about making the best chocolate cake recipe ever. You know, growing up, I'd always liked to be a baker, and even when I started baking, I tried my hands on a lot of recipes regarding chocolate cake because I personally love chocolate cake so much. But this right here is the game changer, tested and trusted, so you guys should try it out. So you come along with me as I teach you the step-by-step guide on how to achieve the best chocolate cake ever. But before we get right into it, I'll urge you all to please kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on your notifications so that for every video that pops up, you'll be the first to get notified. I'll be dropping the ingredients in the description box so that you can get access to that very easily. So let's get right into it now. Before we start, I'd like to let you know that this is an oil-based recipe, which means it is a cake that is baked using vegetable oil. So it is a very sensitive or delicate cake, but very easy to know how to bake. So the first thing you're going to be doing before you start is to get your 8 inches pan prepped. This measurement is for an exact size of an 8 inches round pan as seen in this video. I already prepped mine, but if you would like to see a video of how I've achieved this in the past, you can go through my channel for other baking videos that show how I achieve my pan to be this exact way. So basically, simply I just use the butter to oil the pan, and then I dust off to make sure that there is a good friction to make the cake come out very well when the cake is baked. So that said, the next thing we're going to be doing is, you're going to be preheating your oven to the 180 degrees mark before you start, so that there's going to be a considerable amount of heat that has been trapped into the oven before you put up your cake inside. Note that before you bake up your cake, you cannot use a cold oven or an oven that is not heated enough, because it's going to affect the structure and the texture of your cake overall. So I already preheated my oven 180 degrees centigrade mark, or the gas mark of 4 if that's how your oven is designed, or you can do the 240 degrees Fahrenheit depending on what your oven temperature states. So we're going to go ahead to first prepare the dry ingredients. I measured everything out to make the video faster so that we can go straight into the business of the day. So we're going to be using all-purpose flour here, 2 cups all-purpose flour. I already sieved this, but I'm going to be doing that one more time to make sure that I get rid of every air pocket that might be trapped in it, and to make sure the flour is as light as possible. Next thing I'm going to be adding is going to be 3/4 cups of the cocoa powder. Any good brand of cocoa powder works just fine. So I'm going to be adding that into the flour. I'm going to be sieving that right into it. Then I'm going to be adding baking soda. The baking soda is for structure, so it has a little bit more quantity than all other ingredients that have the 1 teaspoon. So I'm going to be using 2 teaspoons of baking soda right here, goes into it. I'm going to be using 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Any good brand in all of these products is good. I'm going to be using 1 teaspoon of salt as well. Good, any table salt is fine. And then we'll be sifting all of this together as the dry ingredients. Once I'm done with that, look at the lumps that I try to avoid. That's why I sieve these things, to make sure that all of these things don't get into the batter. I personally don't sift out my batter when I'm done. I make sure that I sieve everything before I finish. So you just combine this using your spatula to give it an even blend, to make sure that everything is well blended in, and then just simply set that aside. So you start off with the wet ingredients now, and all you need to do is get your mixer. You can easily use your stand mixer as I'm using here, or you can use your hand mixer as well. So we'll go in first with the granulated sugar, the regular granulated sugar. This is 2 cups of granulated sugar here. A cup like this would be just fine. This is 250 ml cup, 2 cups of granulated sugar. Then 1 cup of vegetable oil. I don't talk about sunflower or canola oil, just the good old vegetable oil. So this is really accessible, so anybody can try this recipe. And then the next thing that goes into it is going to be, first of all, I forgot to tell you that the milk that is for this recipe is not a good old buttermilk or full cream milk. We're going to be using 2% milk, and that is because there are a lot of cream-based ingredients in this cake, and we don't want a situation whereby it gets too heavy or too dense with the result. So I always break down the fat content in my milk by using the 2% milk, and this is a milk that is not very accessible in every location, so you have to know how to get the substitute. And the substitute here is by simply taking on your 2 tablespoons of evaporated milk or full cream milk, as the case may be. You know, you do the first one. I have an empty cup to do that here. Just pour it in, or rather just pour it into the 1 cup, because you're just trying to make sure that you don't exceed the 1 cup mark. So the first one goes into the 1 cup, and then the second one goes into the 1 cup as well, and then just simply fill up with water up until the mark. Right, so there you have your 2% milk ready. As you can see from the video, it is already lighter in texture, and it's also not as thick as the initial texture it was. So we'll set that aside. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'll put this back into the stand mixer, and then I'll beat this for about 30 seconds to just get that incorporated. Next thing I'm going to be adding after this is to be adding the eggs, 2 eggs per batter of this recipe. After adding the eggs, I would beat a little more and then add the flavors and then the milk, and then just go along with me. So you beat this on high speed, because this is the kick-starting process of the mixing time, so you have to go on high speed. So just for a few seconds and we're good. After beating about 30 seconds, you reduce the mixer speed to medium, as you see me do, using the regulator in the mixer. And then you go in with your eggs, 1 at a time, but not like with a considerable spacing, but just make sure that one goes in and then the other goes right after. Just like this. Put it on the medium speed, just as seen here. And then the next thing you're going to be getting in is going to be the vanilla flavor. This is 1 tablespoon of vanilla flavor. This is the same tablespoon I used to achieve the 2% milk, so this is just 1 tablespoon of it, and it goes right into the mix as well. Oops. So after that, we're going to go in with the milk. The 2% milk is going in now. Just a bit before, because I have to go over it. So all at once. So once this is done, just allow it to beat for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then you go in with all other ingredients. If you have watched me up until this point, drop chocolate cake in the comment box. Okay, so while this is creaming, let me remind you that for every cake you bake, if you don't have your pan well greased like this, you are almost going to end up in a disaster. Trust me, because there isn't any much reason why you should go through the stress of baking of the cake and then it doesn't come out of the pan. So don't forget, let me just give you a little tip. Oil the pan and dust it. If you are not using, this is for chocolate cake, and that's why it is being dusted with cocoa powder. Not everyone do this, but me, I'm personally doing this because cocoa powder is going to enhance the flavor of the cake and going to give it a darker appeal when it is ready, unlike you using the flour to dust the pan, and then when it is ready, it has this white patches that I personally don't like. Okay, so that is why I go with the cocoa powder every time I have to bake chocolate cake. Every other flavor, vanilla, red velvet, you dust your pan with the all-purpose flour to get the same result. So now we'll go back into the video now. This is all okay now. So we'll turn this off and open it. Okay, so at this point, we're going to be turning the mixer speed to low, because to incorporate all the dry ingredients, you don't need it to splash and you don't need it to overmix. So I'm going to go with the lowest speed. But bear in mind that it's going to go in 3 additions. 3 additions because you have to get the proper mixing technique so that you don't undermix or overmix. So 3 is just the right quantity of portions. And when you're portioning this, it's not like you have to measure it. Just make sure that it goes in 3 times, so you know how to eyeball it by yourself. Now, this is the last thing that goes into it. This is one game changer in the chocolate cake recipe. It is called sour cream. Now, if you don't have access to sour cream, as I know that it is not very accessible everywhere, you can just simply get a cup of mayonnaise. Yes, mayonnaise, any good brand is okay, and then just go ahead to add up 1 tablespoon of white vinegar into it. Do this ahead of time, so when you mix that, you instantly have your sour cream ready. This is going to go in last after I add all of the dry ingredients. I am not going to be beating it in, I'm going to be folding it in because it's a cream and I really don't want to tamper with, you know, the structure of the cream as it is. This automatically gets rid of any bitter aftertaste that any chocolate cake ever gets. This right here is one secret that you don't want to lose out on. So we're going to go ahead with adding the dry ingredients now in 3 additions, like I said earlier. So this is going to be the first addition. Now, like I said, in no particular order, I have the first addition, And then so you go from low speed to make sure that it's all well blended before you increase the speed a little bit more. So this is going to be the final addition. So we're just going to wait for this to get well blended in about 50 seconds, and then I'll turn it off, bring it out, and then mix in the sour cream into the mix, and we're going to be ready to pour it into the pan. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. So it has a consistency that isn't too watery or too thick. It holds up really nicely, and by the time you add the sour cream into it, it's going to get a little bit thicker. So now I'm just going to add this. It doesn't have to be in any quantity of additions. You can go once, as long as everything gets into it. So you can either use your spatula to mix this in or use a wire whisk, but as long as it gets all well blended in, this is what it looks like. So the sour cream is going to lighten the color of the cake batter, but that doesn't mean that it's going to come off with this color when it's baked up in the oven, because there is a proven fact that when the cake gets into the heat, the actual color darkens because of the heat presence that gets into the cake, and of course brings out that steam that comes out when your cake is freshly baked. So this cake is going to come out looking dark chocolate in color, not this color, but this is what your consistency should look like. So if you by any chance try it out, just make sure that you don't have a running texture and you don't have, you know, a texture that is too thick or clumpy together. It has to just be like this for you to get the result you are looking for. Make sure that you measure your ingredients very accurately and very correctly for you to get this consistency. So I just go right into pouring it into the pan now, all at once, just like this. Remember I told you that this measurement is for an exact size of 8 inches pan, so that's why I'm going to be exhausting everything. But for the purpose of this video, I will leave a little bit to bake separately, because as I always do, I always leave out some to cut up and show you guys, so you see what it looks like on the inside. So I will be getting a smaller pan to pour this in, and then it will be going right into the oven together with the big one. So make sure that when you pour this in, you have to tap it gently on the work surface about 2 times. Before you tap it, please, I don't know if you can see that there are some air bubbles showing on it. So by the time you tap this gently 2 times or thereabout, you get rid of the air pockets inside to make sure that when you cut through the cake, you don't see some funny holes, like bubble-like holes in the cake. So the cake is ready to go into the oven now, and we'll be back when it is ready. Welcome back, everyone. And so this is what the chocolate cake looks like after it's been baked for about 50 minutes precisely. This small one baked for about 25 to 30 minutes precisely, and this is the one I'm going to be showing you all what it looks like on the inside. So I would first of all try to flip this over so you can see what the flip side looks like. You do that. I left it to cool for about 10 to 15 minutes, and that's why I can handle it now. It is still warm to touch, but it's not blazing hot and it can't burn my hand. So I'll use the board. In any case, you can always use your wire rack, but I have this handy, so I'm just going to use my cake board to flip it over just like this. And then after doing that, you just leave it off, and there you have a very nicely baked chocolate cake ready. This is what the flip side looks like, and so I'll go ahead to flip it with my hands. But trust me guys, if you are not experienced, please don't try this particular thing I just did. Just get another board and transfer it to it, because you don't want to damage the underside of your cake. That's going to be all for the cake. So go ahead and cut this now. Okay, so I'll just cut out a bit. And guys, this is what it looks like. If you can see this very closely, you can see what the crumbs look like. You can see that it's not dense in any way. It has even textures also. And this is what it looks like on the other side too. So that's going to be all for today. I hope you all learned something new that you're going to try out with your friends, families, as well as your clients alike. If you like this kind of content, do well to let me know in the comment box. Share your comments, share your feedbacks, observations, and any cake related questions you might have. Always feel free to drop it in the comment box. I will do well to respond to it as soon as I can. Till next time, I remain your favorite girl, and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, as well as you click on the notification button, turn on your notifications so that any new